So are you interested on how you can slow down the aging process and feel so much better on a daily basis? So if you happen to be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or more, this video might be for you. So this is not about how I might look super young for my age. You might not even think so. What it's really about is how I feel for my age, which is super young. I feel like I'm in my 20s. I have a lot of vitality. I feel that, even my heart feels super young. I feel mentally super young, and I am 45. So what are some of these techniques that maybe you haven't heard of? I bet you some of them you haven't, that can help you slow down the aging process, look better, and feel better. So probably in about 2002, I really dove deep into spirituality and mind-body connection, and really wanting to, not really wanting to, I knew that there was a connection between the two. This is when, if you watch some of my older videos on how I knew that I had an issue with certain things that I ate was affecting me mentally. And I knew that wasn't only just food, but there was a spiritual basis on what was going on in my life that was creating these negative effects in my body. And you can also watch another video that I did on how I was paralyzed and I was able to heal myself through the power of thought, visualization, and the power of food. But this video is about how to slow down aging. So let's just start there. The one thing that we really need to start being aware of is, how are you talking to yourself on a daily basis? And I know you think, okay, yeah, I've heard this nonsense before. Hold up, wait until you hear what I have to say. When we are talking smack about our body, when we're saying, I hate my legs, or I hate this about my arms, or, I am always sick all the time, what we are doing is that we are sending negative energy to those parts of our body, so that we are not going to be able to shift our body into the way that we want because of the way we're talking. So if we look at quantum physics, it's saying that everything is energy. We know that everything is energy. Well, you might not, but now you do. Everything is energy. The energy that you are speaking out into the world is affecting what you are creating. The energy that you are saying to your body is creating. So if you are always in a state of saying that you are unhealthy, that you're poor, that you are sick, that you don't like this part of your body, that you hate your relationship, that you hate all of these things, then what you're doing is that where attention goes, energy flows. You are putting more attention and energy into those places. If we look at the scientific aspect of this, back in 2002, I found an amazing book by Dr. Emoto, and what he talked about was the molecules of water, and how, because we are made up of a huge percentage of water, so over 78% of water, that when we take droplets of water and we put a microscope on it, looked at it however many hundreds of times, that when he would speak negative words to the droplet of water, it would change structure. And so the structures were ugly, distorted. So if they said hate, evil, don't like, screw you, all of these things, it would have a distorted molecular structure. Then they would do the opposite. And this was done thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times, as where they took positive words and they would say the same thing to the petri dish of water. And the structures of the water would turn into beautiful crystals. So that would look like beautiful snowflakes or different structures that were absolutely gorgeous. And this was done thousands of times. So it would show of how the energy of the words, or even mentally, if they just would sit and mentally think those words, of how it would distort the water. And so that is just one of the tests that they did. And so at that time, back in 2002, I was researching this and starting to realize what I was saying to my body for many years. Because, as a teenager, we get so caught up in our image, what other people are saying, what other people are doing, and wanting to be like others, instead of really trying to figure out who we are and standing in our own confidence. Because at that point, you don't really know who you are, and you're really trying to discover it. And so there's many years throughout my teenage years into my early 20s where I was really speaking negative to myself and feeling like I wasn't accomplishing the things that I wanted to accomplish. I wasn't being the best version of myself. I had definitely low self-esteem and lower confidence, and I didn't have power within myself. And when I started to read about all of this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a lot of the health that I am creating for myself. And then I took another book, which a lot of you may have read, which is by the great queen of self-help, which is Louise Hay. And Louise wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life. And this book was so amazing for me at that time because I realized, again, she spoke very deeply on how you speak to yourself is how you're creating your body, but also with food, because food is fuel and food is energy as well. So the type of food that you're putting in your body creates a different energy and frequency within the body, whether you are healing, because you're putting in just wonderful fruits and vegetables, and if you do meats, organic meats and good sources of fats, and all these things that are the healthiest version that we can get to fuel our body is affecting every single cell in our body. And so that was a really big wake-up call for me. And then I read a third book, which was The Intention Experiment by Dr. Lynn McTaggart, who talked about how our intentions that we put out into the world, prayer, how we speak to our body also affects our body. And so there's all this scientific evidence that's been out there, but not until, now we're in 2024 that more stuff is coming out. But it's taken so many years. And when I started discovering this years ago, that it wasn't really spoken about. And a lot of people didn't know about it. And so I really started to just divulge all this information and saw how it really started to transform my body, my mind, and my spirit. And then I started to eliminate all those negative things that I was saying to my body. And this is really important because, yes, we're talking about, aging backwards and slowing down the aging process. But some of the other issues that people have when it comes to, even if you're in your 30s and 40s, could be acne, it could be welts, it could be boils that you're suffering from. And a lot of people just always look at surface level, like, oh, your skin, da 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 da. But I am going to do a whole other video on how I healed acne, welts, and boils, and how one of the aspects that I did that was through the power of emotion, because we are an emotional being. We are energetic beings, and the feelings and the thoughts we have about ourselves, especially when we're feeling like we're not good enough and that we need to be something different, or people are maybe bullying us or making fun of us. And it's like, when I say bullying, I mean like, as an adult where you have like friends that might not be friends and that say negative things to you, or, poke at you in different ways where you don't realize that that's not a healthy relationship, but it's affecting you on a deep level, because acne and cysts and boils are definitely one of the contributing factors is emotion and holding those emotions inside and not feeling good enough. And so by working on the energy of what is going on around us and the energy that we are putting within us is affecting our body. So for number one, starting with helping you to heal your body, be a better version of yourself, have more energy, and start to slow down the aging process, it is when you are talking to yourself, what is the dominating thoughts that you're having on a daily basis? It's really important to start being aware of it. And now that I've said this to you, you will be aware. And then what I had done in the past and still do is, if I catch myself saying something negative towards myself that, it's just really damaging, that I will say, cancel that. And then I will replace it with something positive. And I'll do it in my head. I'll constantly do it in my head. So I really make a large effort to never put myself down. And it is rare that I do, but when I do, I catch myself now, because I have been really working on this over 20 some years to stop that negative process. And I am telling you guys that it makes a big difference. The other thing that you might think is woo-woo is going on the topic of Dr. Emoto and the power of water, is that when we are drinking water, If you are talking negative or you're in a gossipy situation with people, remember how the molecules of water shift. It shifts. And so it's not only shifting what you are in vibrating at a different level and affecting your cells in your body, but it's affecting your food and it's affecting your water. So if you are making something or cooking, or you're in a negative state and you're drinking whatever you're drinking, and you are talking a lot of negative and hateful things, you are affecting what you are putting into your body. And so one of the things that you can do, which again might sound woo if you're not there yet, but I'm telling you it does work, which is blessing your water, speaking positively to your water. And you can charge your water throughout the night too. So before I go to bed at night, I'll have a glass of water and I will say, thank you, water, for blessing me with wonderful health. Thank you for helping me to stay youthful and look youthful on a daily basis. Thank you for nourishing my body. And so I will take a sip and then I'll set the rest on my nightstand. And then the next morning I will drink the whole glass of water. And that water has been charged with positivity, with a different molecular structure that, honest to goodness, does have an effect on the system. And again, there is lots of different science that's out there. Now, there's another lady that you might want to check out on YouTube, and she's got different podcasts out from different people, and her name is Veda Austin. And she did a crazy amount of scientific studies on water and the molecular structures, on how we speak to it, how it affects our body on such a deep level of healing. And if you have any type of ailments or sicknesses, to bless your water and thank it for helping to heal you. And that it does truly make a big difference in your health and in your day. And again, being aware of, you're cooking supper or you're doing something and you start to get really stewed up about something and you're really angry about something. It's a good idea to just take a break from what you're doing, go sit somewhere and maybe go outside and take some deep breaths and process whatever it is that you're going through and get your mind shift into a positive state, and then go back to what you were doing before, because that is affecting your health. It is affecting your vitality, is affecting the food that you're eating. So that is the first key that I wanted to bring up to you guys. The second thing is going on how you speak to yourself, and speaking is so critical. Is one of the most powerful words that you can say to yourself is the power of I am. Whatever follows I am is truly what you are becoming, is truly what you are creating for yourself. So it is one of the most powerful words I feel that is out there. And years and years ago, I have been reading and watching videos on Neville Goddard, and he's probably one of my favorite speakers, and he speaks very much about the power of I am and how it affects your whole everything. So whatever you say, so if you are always, maybe so many of us are just like, they'll talk about being overweight, they'll talk about being sick, they'll talk about being unattractive, not attractive enough. And they're always saying I am and following it with those words. I'm not even going to say it because I'm not putting power into that. So it's always really important, now that you're aware of that, to listen to what the words you are saying. Because our thoughts, consistent dominating thoughts that are, always in our presence throughout our day, we start to say our thoughts all the time, then those thoughts create an emotion within our body. And then those emotions are creating behaviors. And then it's creating how you're living out your life on a day-to-day basis. And so when people are living their life in a certain way and they think this is just who I am, it's not who you are. Who you are is a wonderful, amazing human being that was born here for a purpose, born here for a reason. And if you say, well, I've been depressed for this amount of time, or I've been sick for this amount of time, or, I have had this issue with my body, how many times are you expressing to yourself, I am? And I will hear this with just depressed people. They utilize that as who they are. It's not who you are. It's how you're feeling. It's not who you are. Your true self is a joyous, amazing, happy spirit. This is a symptom of how you are feeling, maybe based on habits that you have acquired, and now you think that's who you are because you have been that way for so long. You've been telling yourself you've been that for so long that that is now who you have become. So by starting to become aware of the words that you utilize prior to what you're going to say is stopping yourself or reiterating it. You know, I am a healthy and happy person. And even if you feel like that's lying, and this isn't like about, people saying affirmations and stuff all the time. It's about in your day-to-day life, how you are speaking to others. And sometimes it's really hard because we get into this victim mentality because we have these issues and we're like, well, that's who I am. But it's because that's the energy you're consistently focusing on and consistently bringing to you. And we have the power to shift our life. When I was, in my my later teens and very early 20s, I was about 70 pounds heavier. And I started becoming aware again of the thoughts and feelings I was having towards myself, the food that I was feeding my body. And then as soon as I started to make those decisions to start speaking to myself with love and to looking in the mirror like Louise Hay does, and how she speaks about looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. And most people can't even look in their eyes and say that in the mirror, is building up to that. It becomes extremely powerful, and how we can start to shift our life and start to shift our health. And as soon as we start to say positive things and start to feel that, and like honest to God feeling it, because when you start to take the actions in your life that is leading you down a healthier path, and this it goes again in my last video where I talked about how I manifested a vehicle in 6 weeks, is I kept saying to myself, I am this, I have this, and started getting in that energy. And what I would do is I would lace up my runners. I didn't feel like it. I felt awful. I felt exhausted because I was so stressed out. And I would do sprints in the field. So sometimes we have to do something that's dramatic to change our state. And even if we don't feel like it. And I have been in major depressive states in my life. But there's always, for me, I've always had this other part of my brain where I've always thought, how do I get out of this? How can I change this? How can I shift this? And I think that is the difference between me and other people that consistently feel like this is it. I always think, how do I get myself out of this? How can I shift this? And when we ask that question, I don't know how the universe works this way, but it does. People, places, and things will bring you ideas. It'll bring you a person, it'll bring you a YouTube video, it'll bring you a book that will help to elevate your life or switch your life or change your life in some dramatic way. And so I felt that even if I didn't feel like it, I would just almost lie to myself and say, okay, for 1 minute, I'm going to go to the field and I'm going to do sprints just for 1 minute. And it never ended up being 1 minute. It always ended up being a lot more because I could feel that release of tension, anger, frustration that was building up inside of me. Now, if you have other health conditions that you're not able to do that, then put on some different music that you normally don't listen to that will make you feel really freaking good. Put on Tibetan singing bowls if maybe something that it's a different energy, a different vibration, and sit with that. Get outside and ground yourself. Sit by a tree and just listen to your breath. Take some deep breaths in, because most of us are breathing so shallow throughout the day. So many of us are so acidic because of the stress that we're going through, or maybe depression or health issues. Move your body outside and sit on the ground. Sit by water and feel that energy, because all of those things are affecting you. And you're saying, Shannon, how does this have to do with de-aging? All of it. All of it. We are all one system here. Mind, body, spirit all works together. Everything, like I said in the beginning, everything is energy. So every little thing that you do is making up the body you have. When you are taking time out to ground yourself in nature, because most of us are so deficient in all of the electrical, magnetic things that we get from Mother Earth. Most of us are not getting any of the beautiful vitamins, minerals from our foods. Most of us are just continuously feeding ourselves junk in our mind, playing video games, staying up late, looking at our phones, looking at tablets, getting that blue light, not accessing the sunlight like we need to be, because that provides us with so much health and nutrients to our body. You know, sun is the giver of life. It is there to support us and help us. And so many of us aren't getting that because we're stuck indoors. A lot of us are stuck indoors because we've made that a habit as well. So aging backwards is all of these things. So take a look at your words, take a look at your water, take a look at how you are treating yourself, take a look at how you can heal from water, take a look at from grounding yourself outside can change your life. Now, what is the other dramatic thing that obviously is a very big obvious for reducing the aging process? And that is stress. Guys, I am probably one of the biggest guilty people for that. I'm not guilty. I shouldn't say I am guilty because that's, a negative with that. So cancel that. I am now on the path and have been on the path to having a healthier, more balanced life based on how I treat my body and catching myself when I'm in a really stressful state, having certain techniques that I do to help release those stress. And that is key. A lot of us are in this massive stressful state, and that is aging our body really fast because stress, we're not absorbing the vitamins and minerals that we need. Our food isn't really getting to us. This is like really important because I will see a lot of people out there that are obsessed about their food, obsessed about certain things, obsessed about working out all the time, and they're in a really big stressful state. So are they healthy? No. Stress depletes everything. Stress ages us the fastest of anything. And so one of the most important things is this of one of two. Number one, reducing stress, having methods. And there's many methods, you guys, again, in this day and age, you have to implement. If you're like, I don't have time, you're on social media, you got time. You are up late on your phone, you got time. It's just about making decision to switch your habits. So taking 5-10 minutes before you go to bed at night to create something that is going to help you. And again, there's many methods, which like meditation, reading, working out, like doing work, any type of like low impact workout, obviously. Walking is so great because you're able to hash out stuff before you go to sleep. Having a nice long walk, doing some yoga, doing some Pilates, doing, maybe for you, it's like cleaning your kitchen before you go to sleep is a nice relaxing thing, just to like, you're thinking things over and you're just cleaning your kitchen, listening to a positive podcast, watching a YouTube video that is enlightening, it's bringing your energy up. All of those things, meditation, of course, and I was saying before, listening to singing bowls, all of those things are encompassing something. And now you can find something else I never even spoke of. Some people like to sit and pray, a method of prayer, like all of those things work, but it's like disconnecting from the world and grounding yourself in some sense. And again, for some of us, we only will be able to take 10 minutes. And that is okay, but it's disciplining yourself and having those boundaries set for yourself to know that when you take those 10 minutes, you're a better person. You're going to become a better person. And you're a better person, not just for yourself, but you're a better person for your family, and you're a better person for your friends. And so that is the key, is having a de-stressing method in your life. If there's anything else you take from this video, is having something that you do every day for 5-10 minutes to begin with, to do that. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, I feel so amazing, then you can increase that. You can increase it maybe to 20 minutes every day. Number one. The second thing is sleep. You're not going to be able to heal, recover, repair, and slow down the aging process if you are getting really poor quality sleep. Again, in the past, holy crap, that was me. I was just, and every night I was waking up in the middle of the night several times, or I was waking up with nightmares because of just so much stuff going on in my life, and I wasn't really implementing the healing factors I needed to de-stress and decompress before I went to bed. So Now I don't have those issues. I don't have the issue where I'm waking up with nightmares or waking up several times a night because my mind is going haywire. I put those practices into play, and now I have amazing sleep. So I do have another video on sleep if you want to watch all the things that you can do in order to have a better quality sleep, because that is super critical. And so one of the things I've spoken about a million times, but I'm just going to say it real quick right now, is no cell phone 2 hours before you go to bed, or at least an hour before you go to bed, because that is affecting the melatonin and how long it's going to take for you to get into that deep REM. So that blue light is affecting your brain massively, and your kids. So take note of that. So those are the two things for helping to de-age. So if we can get those two things under control, then what's going to happen is during the next day, you're not going to have those high insulin spikes where you're craving a lot of sugar and processed foods, because that's what happens. We're stressed out, more cortisol. When we don't get enough sleep, a lot more cortisol. We're in a fat storing mode. So we're consistently wanting those foods, and that's what we're tending to grab for. And then the other thing is just not having the energy to do all the things that we need to get done, and our brain isn't functioning optimally. So when we have those two things somewhat under control, we're going to choose better foods. We're going to move our body more, because the more we move our body, then we're getting into a healthier state. Our lymphatic system is moving. Everything is moving. We are becoming a healthier version of ourselves. And I'm telling you, when you start to work out, your mindset changes. There's something about weight training for me. And as a woman, I know I've heard this over the years, where women are really kind of timid of getting, into the heavy weights. But there's something mentally that happens when you become physically strong. You can become really mentally strong. You just become a different version of yourself. So we can, wherever you're at right now, wherever your health and your wellness and your mindset, whether that is like a poor mindset where you feel like you have no money, or you feel like you are ugly, or you feel whatever, you can become the other version of yourself based on how you think about your body, mind, and spirit. So by starting to speak about yourself differently, and you take the actions, so you start to get in the mindset of, this is who you write out on a piece of paper, all the reasons why, who you want to become, who you know you really are deep down inside, and you haven't allowed it to unleash. And then you start to write down all the things that you can do to take the steps into becoming that person. And then every single day, whenever you're walking or driving to work, or taking the dog out, or going to the bathroom to use the bathroom, visualize and feel yourself as that person. How would you start acting in your life if you were already that healthier version of yourself? How would you start acting in your life if you were already that physically fit person that you want to be? How would you start to live your life? You would start to walk more with your shoulders back, because you have more confidence in yourself, because you are a strong, confident person with more self-esteem, because you're feeling better in your body. You would start to wear different clothes, because, I'm telling you, when I go out to stores and I see people wearing pajamas, I know what state of mind they're in. They're in life sucks. They're in like depressive state, because there's no way in any sense that I have ever, even in my darkest states, that I ever leave the house in pajamas. It is a representation of how much you respect yourself and how you feel about yourself. So when I go out, I always, at least put on mascara. And I'm not talking like makeup is important and that vanity part, but for me, I feel like I feel better when I have mascara, which sounds so stupid, but for me, I feel better. I will do my hair, and I will walk, and I will act more confidently, because I feel better about myself. And because of the words that I am speaking to myself on a daily basis, I feel better. So you can create the version of your future self now by feeling that and really getting into that. And that's why visualization and feeling all of those feelings now is super critical and important. You have that power. We have that mind power to be able to create that future version in ourselves now. And what's going to happen is that you will every day take steps, every day baby steps, which it seems like baby steps, but in the short term, you are going to get to your goals so much faster. I've done this for several different health conditions in my life. I have done this from, again, when I said I had no self-worth or self-esteem, and to creating a stronger, more successful, more confident version of myself. So slowing the aging process is absolutely possible. And it is all encompassing for everything that you're doing. And then the more you become the version of the person that you know that you truly are, and you are happy, happiness is what slows down the aging process. Having a childlike heart is super critical. So anyways, I hope I gave you guys some tips and techniques on how to slow down the aging process, and I'll talk to you on the next video.